morning. Thank you for tuning in for your come up. Today we're going to have a conversation here with a buddy of mine from school, Chrys Thompson. If you like what you watch, don't forget to hit the like button, hit the subscribe, and don't forget to hit the bell notification so you don't miss your come up. Today's episode is sponsored by Yapix Web Design and Graphics. In your music game, your rap game, you also have a label, you said as well, right? Or you run a label company?
Yep.
Okay. The struggle is real. Whatever you do, whatever talents or gifts come naturally or easy to you, getting there and putting it to work is always a struggle. How do you stay motivated and inspired when life gives you challenges? How do you stay motivated to keep pushing forward?
I think one of the challenges, try to keep me on track here, but like one of the challenges is just like perspective, right? I think you have more connections now in contact with like what's going on, right? Like
Right.
You can see people that are successful, what they look like, what they're doing. There's like a FOMO, like I'm not good enough, I'm not big enough, I'm not doing enough, right? To me, it's like an internal challenge. It's like an internal battle to be like, well, I'm not that big, I'm not that good. Their productions are better. They got their songwriting's better. So I think that the challenge of like putting yourself in the realm where you're not at the top, you're nowhere near the top.
Oh, for sure.
You know what I mean? And I think a lot of us, when we want to pursue our passions, the doubt creeps in. You know what I mean? And so
Always.
I think the first way to overcome it is to acknowledge that and just be okay with like, look, I'm not the best, but I can be my best, right? And if I want to get better and better, what am I going to have to do? I'm going to have to eat some of this crap. I'm going to have to lose. I'm going to have to take some L's. And so, especially when you're trying to experiment with like new genres and stuff. So I would say just having that awareness is the first thing of saying, look, know where you are, be honest with yourself, and know that you're not going to be at the same level of what's out there. So the more you search, you could probably find some people you think you're better than, but you're also gonna, you're gonna be shooting for the top.
Right.
So you're not gonna be as good as the people that you want to be, up there with. So anything you do, you're trying to like piece things together to like get that momentum, and with momentum comes confidence. A lot of this stuff is confidence. Like, what do I want to do, and how much am I willing to commit to it?
Right.
And again, the commitment is the early mornings and the late nights when nobody's seeing, when you're struggling.
For sure.
Just it's not coming naturally, right? A lot of passions aren't directly like tied to making money right away. But then some people just push through long enough and they get more money than they ever imagined from it, right? Than they ever needed
Jeff
for
Bezos.
it. I think a lot of people make excuses.
Yeah.
We're trained to make excuses. Like, I hit my snooze button telling myself, all right, I'm just gonna
10 more minutes.
I'm gonna cut 10 minutes off of my shower, shave, and I'm gonna brush my teeth while I you can go on and on and on, So for me, it's like, are you gonna really just own up to the fact that like, all right, I'm gonna use every hour I can to do this, but I've gotta do something that's gonna pay me, right? And so to me, it was never like, I'm gonna just pursue my music career and I'm gonna just like perform and I'm gonna make this money, I'm gonna make beats, whatever it is. I never really thought I was gonna start a recording studio company, but now I got 4 recording studios that I run with a business partner, but that was not the goal. That was never, but I wanted to get into music.
It seems like that was the consequence of pursuing your passion,
Yes.
In a good way, a good consequence.
It was,
Yeah.
and it was me throwing myself at something and meeting people, and we realized that like everyone needs a studio. We needed a studio.
Right.
Let's get a studio for us to make music.
For sure.
And then it was like, oh, well, we got to pay for this now. Like, how maybe we can offset some of the costs by bringing some other people in. And it started with 1 studio, 2, 3, 4, and it was never the goal to have 4 studios. But then we started getting rentals, and we didn't have a studio to make our music anymore. So it was like, do we just wait until they're gone? But then we lose the momentum, it's all the same thing.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
We tried to always have a studio that we would have for us. To make music in whenever we wanted, but then we had some people that loved our studio so much they wanted to rent long term. So we're like, oh, this studio literally, we can't even rent this one out anymore. Now we got to, so a lot of it is consequential. And I think that like if you could trust, if you do your part, life will give you opportunities. And whether you're ready for them or not, like, you can't wait for an opportunity to come. You got to do what you got to do with what's in front of you.
Exactly.
Is the way I see life. I never really thought I can get paid off of this music stuff. Like, whatever it's worth, I never thought that.
Right.
I never figured that out in my head. I just never thought that was going to be me. So I always had to have a steady job. I always worked really hard to like have a day job. It's not, you know, I know a lot of people talk crap about like the 9 to 5 and all that stuff. Like I get it, right?
You got to pay the bill somehow. They don't pay themselves.
Especially when I moved to LA,
Yeah.
things are more expensive.
Oh,
so
yeah.
it's like, what are you really hoping for? You're hoping to hit the lottery. Like I've been out there almost 10 years now, and I haven't hit the lottery yet.
Yep.
But I have been able to pay my rent, and now for the last couple of years, I've been able to like have a side hustle, and then I've been literally last year was my first year releasing music.
There you go.
Know, make a couple of pennies here and there off that. But you know, for the most part, yeah, I always try to do the most with the time that I have.
Right.
The excuse part is really what I want to say. Is like people are like, oh, I can't do that because I'm working. Like, come on, you got to make it work.
You're working 8-9 hours out of a 24-hour day.
And then you got to use that other 4 or 5, and those are the ones that are going to fulfill you. You know
sure.
what I mean? It goes back to the passion. Like if you could do a little bit of that, you can endure more on the I don't really like this, but it's making me money. You know what I mean? So,
like for me, before I realized writing was my thing, I started writing in 2008, but I didn't publish it until a couple years later. Reason being, I don't think no one wants to read it. I mean, there's plenty of other books like that, but one person said, well, other books have been written about that, but none of them have been written by you. Your inspiration, your story could be someone else's inspiration. From that, I'm like, all right, work for a cause, not for applause, and let's just do it, you know?
Yeah.
Last question I want to ask you, man, since you got some wisdom up in that head of yours. Any last or final words you want to relay to the people watching?
And I'm inspired by some people that are, to me, I would call them like pretty significantly ahead of me in the music situation. Some of them have been really cool, you know, to just give me the feeling like they look at me as a peer. You know what I'm saying? And they talk to me that way. They share with me what's going on. There's a lot of stuff that happens that people don't know about.
Right.
And a lot of decisions are made before you ever would realize be able to have a conversation with someone. So what I'm really saying is like, watch how you treat people, watch how you carry yourself, watch how everything you do matters. And people are always watching.
Right.
So if you just think you can just like take shortcuts or just like not really fully be the best person you can be, people are judging you, people are perceiving you, and they're judging whether they want to do something with you or not based on what they know about you, based on your reputation, based on how you treat, you know, the people around you. And so many decisions are being made that you don't understand. So if you really want to give yourself the best chance in life, you got to treat people right.
Do it 100, whatever it is you're doing.
And like, as much as you want to do your own thing, like you just can't do it alone. Very, very few things require just solely you to do them. Right. So it's not about just like faking the funk just to get people to help you. It's just about, if I could offer value to you, that's my fastest way to actually have a real relationship with you versus trying to figure out how I can convince you to do something for me.
And you're building a house of cards that way.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, you know, Nathen Hache calls me and tells me to come down for an interview. He's not saying like, hey man, you know, I need you to do this for me. He's like, I think this will be good for me and you, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And it will be, right? So it's just, you got to look at it like that, man. Like you have to find a way to turn the tables and look at life through someone else's perspective when you're trying to do anything with somebody. You know what I mean? It's
not about what you can do for me, it's what I can do for you. Provide value first.
Yes.
You'll get it back later on.
I heard one thing from one of the mentors that I guess I would call a mentor. He said, if you add value to someone's life, they're going to find a way to pay you.
Yeah.
The right person will. Now, again, you have those people that are going to take advantage of people, but again, you got to have your head on your shoulders and see, and you got to be on the court too and see what's going on too. But for the most part, the right people, and it's true for even when I went to LA, I didn't know really anyone out there. 10 years later, I know a good enough amount of people. Now I got people that want favors from me. I got things to offer, but it all started with me going in there just saying, what can I do to help you?
Right.
You want to know what someone's passion is, you want to ask yourself what your passion is, because that's going to be the why. That's going to be the why to go do this and go talk to that person, go do something for free, go drive somewhere for someone.
Yeah.
And those are the happy accidents that happen where you meet someone. And like to full circle it, like I met my business partner right now, one of my best friends, my road dog.
Yeah.
I met him out there. He was an intern for the studio I started hanging out in.
No kidding.
And he was unpaid, grinded, moved out there from Arizona, went after it. No excuses.
Talk about coming up together.
Coming up, and he saw me doing my full-time job come up, trying to get my promotions. I saw him going through, turning into a producer, songwriter, and all this. And then the timing aligned, and now for the last few years, we've been business partners. I would have never guessed I would be where I'm at just by driving out to LA, moving in some old lady's room on Craigslist for a couple months with no plan. You know, so that's not what I would advise. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But at that time, I needed that push, and I needed just enough of a reason to go out to LA and go see what I could do for myself, you know?
It's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming in.
Appreciate it, man.
No problem.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for watching. Today's episode is sponsored by Yapix Web Design and Graphics. Till next time.